With fall fashion, so much of it with the richer, deeper colors. On my model here, we have a much more deeper cherry tone color on her hair. And what's great about longer hair, we're going to go work in a couple of different tones of darker auburn and a lighter auburn to help create a bit of shadow and dimension within a longer shape, especially a wavy shape. I'm just going to work a placement through this area. And again, taking inspiration from the season, taking inspiration from different designers to really see the color, but also to be able to think of where you want to place the color and work with the texture of the hair, just like you would with the fabric. So I'm going to go ahead, take my first section, and I will take my two colors, one of my lighter auburn and my darker auburn, and I will shadow those through, taking through the root area, and then working and applying those colors out through the mid-lengths and ends. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Richy, and he could tell you a little bit about what's going on with his technique. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Okay, perfect. Anyway, as Christel before was talking really about fashion and everything and creative consultation. Okay, I'm just going to give you guys a brief idea of what I'm doing. Very simple technique, quite similar as the kind of darker and light at in the front, changing the ombre from dark to the top to make it less DIY, more professionally made. Does that make sense? Since you guys know there's a lot of, now we have, what is it, ombre in the box, just to try to make sure we do something more professional, have more like real quality out of it. Okay, instead of placing darker light, make it a bit more professional, dark at the back, pushing the face in front so you can really see the face of a woman. That's the purpose of it. So from there, what I did, very simple section. Instead of creating like a radial section, straight line, I create like a zigzag section. Perfect, so we can really blend my two colors together. Very easy. I block color everything at the back area with like a dark chestnut tone. Very beautiful, nice and shiny, not too much tone, to make sure that's allowed to not disturb the front color I'm placing around here. Same what I did again on the roots area, I use the same color, keep it the same as a bit more depth. Then again, as I'm walking, just taking like some V section on the side like that. Of course, maintaining again my darker roots, but while I'm on the perimeter, I have larger root. And as I go up, I'm going to have less roots, but bring my lighter more close to the roots. Does that make sense? I have more tips lighter. And as I go up, I have less roots, but more lightness around the face area. So when it opens, you can really see it better. And also you're going to see it, I'm going to show you guys my angle. I'm going to have less dark and more dark on the side. So when you see it, more light and less on the side. So that helps the movement of natural flow of the hair. Okay, but I'm going to start just applying, and I'll come back and I'll recap and also share with you guys a few ideas of the skin complexion, why I choose my color choice in a minute. Thank you.
Sounds good. Okay, so this is Diane. And Diane, again, would be a great example of what we actually work with on a day-to-day basis, because sometimes when client comes in, we tend to make things very complicated for us, and especially with the blonde palette. I wanted to show you what Diane's got, and the concept and the feel that I'm recreating is the lovely girl that Richy presented with a lavender tone. So I want a pastel tone with this as well from a global application, so from roots to ends. But I'm working with what's on the hair already, so I'm not working against it. So here I've got something that's slightly deeper, so more of a vintage tone, so a little bit more depth, and through the ends you can see that it's a lot lighter. And this is actually going to work to my advantage here. So instead of trying to lighten the root area and get it even, I'm going to work with this. So I'm going to create more of an infusion of different nude tones. So I'm going to work with the nude mixture, which you saw in the first section as well, and I'm going to apply it on the roots right through to the length. So what this will give me now is a slightly deeper nude effect through the root and more of a softer and transparent effect through the length and ends. So again, I'm working with the hair and not against it. I'm going to apply this very quickly, and then I'm going to take you through the reason why I've chosen this as well, because we spoke earlier about how important it is for the color to suit someone's complexion. So this is where we kind of tap into color consultancy. So if you don't wear the right color around the face, so your perimeter, it can sometimes make you look ill or a bit weak. So the color can actually weaken your natural complexion, or if it's completely wrong, sometimes it can actually make you look worse than what you would without the color. So with this now then, there's three different elements that we look at, and I'm going to get the boys to go through this a bit more with you as well in detail. We look at what we call, which is skin tone, which we refer to. We look at complexion, but the eye area is very important as well. So we've created tools for this to be able to assess these 3 areas more accurately. I'm going to go through the eye colouring area with you. So this kind of gives you an idea of how light or how dark to take your client, because that can be quite tricky sometimes to actually know what particular depth to take them to. We use the eyes here as a guideline, and what we want to do with the colour is to create almost like that perfect frame. We want the depth to bring out the eye area, not to drain it or not to make it weak or delicate. So what I'm assessing here is actually the colour of the eye. So if you look at Diane's eye colour, it's beautiful. It's like almost like an emerald blue, but very, very light. So if I work with this tool here now, then you can see that through the back I've got depths behind the Pantone swatch. So it goes from the black, so the very darkest colour, all the way up to the lightest colour, 10/0. So this will give me an indication of what the most suitable depth would be for her eye colour. If I place the fan just sort of the Pantone strip through the underneath, I can see that by working with the black colour, it actually drains the eye. The first thing that I can see is the black and not the eye colour. It doesn't pop out here. If I'm working up the fan here now then, slightly higher up, I can see it's getting a little bit better, but again, the first thing that I look at is the depth and not the eye colour. By working slightly lighter here now, so by working a lighter frame, I can see by working something that's slightly lighter, by a 9 or a 10, it actually gives me strength. So the first thing that I look at now is the eye. The eye is almost standing out. So this is a tool that we've developed to kind of work with the eye colour, not against it. So this is telling me that the perfect depth for Diane would be anything from a 9 to a 10. So a pre-lightened effect. But this is not set in stone, because colour is very personal, and it's also linked to style and personal image. If Diane didn't want to be a blonde, then that's absolutely fine, but this kind of tells me to be aware of what depths I could work with, or what techniques I can actually offer Diane or suggest. If she wanted to be dark because she felt that that was more of her personal style, then that's fine, but what I probably could suggest is a highlighted effect through the top to create a bit of lightness around the perimeter. So again, I'm working with the same concept. Does that make sense to everyone? Yeah, good stuff. So we've got the 3 elements, which obviously works hand in hand as well. So I'll get the boys to kind of touch on those as well. At this point, what I'm going to do is to take Diane off, and I'm going to come back and see you a little bit later. So I'll give you this, and I'll pass over to you,
Christel.
Robert.
All right, just to recap again, with my model's hair, with my model's skin tone, we want to decide whether we have a client that has warm skin tone or cool skin tone. She definitely has more of a warmer skin tone, but when we're choosing colors, again, like Christel was saying, you could get almost like kind of a jaundiced, or a kind of where clients almost look like they have hepatitis, really, like where you've put the wrong color. You could tell when you put that wrong color on somebody. And again, because we're working with warm colors, but some of these colors, like the auburns, have more of a cool element, it really helps to tie it together, having a lighter auburn that's a little bit warmer and a cooler auburn, to give yourself some dimension, give yourself a little bit of contrast, not just with the level of color, the lightness and darkness, but also with the tone of the color. But again, suitability for the skin tone is very important. Again, using the mesh strips, you could use the mesh strips, again, whether you're going to fold them up like this or whether you're going to lay them down flat, which helps to control, you don't have to fold them up so that you don't stick your colors where you don't want them to be done. And it gives, again, another alternative to highlighting, another alternative to what you create for an overall service within the salon. So again, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Richy, and he's going to do his recap on his model right now. Thank you so much.
Okay, guys, thank you very much. Okay, again, very simple technique, very salon approach. Just to step away a little bit from simple always the highlights. You get bored after a while, no? But you need to push your client. As again, Christel was saying before, it's not about your client being bored, it's about you creating a perfect consultation journey to guide your client for change. Because they come to us for professional ideas, okay? Perfect. But if we have really the confidence of following a perfect consultation by telling them what you think will look good to them, that will help them a lot, okay? So for example, for my color choice again, just as Christel just showed, we have this instrument. Just looking at her color eyes level first, okay? Normally I would start with the skin tone. You can see what's undertone is really blushing out. She has more like a pinkish, she's quite cool, that's mean. Okay, then I'm gonna look at the complexion, which is the overall, the face area. She's quite really, I would say, olive. Perfect. the level of her eyes. She's light again, okay? But then talking with my model, giving her them descriptive words of tones, she want to be remain quite natural, very close to her natural dark because it looks good on her. But one thing I think she misses, some bit of warmth and movement around the face area to make the skin looks a bit more healthy. Okay, so from there what happened, I still keep it dark, but I introduce some lighter pieces in it just to make sure, as I say, around the face, to make sure I can really create more balance and frame the face better. Because we have an amazing art, but what needed is a perfect frame to really express that. Okay, so that's why I choose my darker and my lighter tone. Okay, dark at the back to push the light so I can frame that area. Okay, I hope you guys like it. Thank you very, very much.